Hi, very good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 6th episode of our Gulf at Cloud webinar series, Strategies for your SingPass OIDC migration. My name is Amanda and I'll be your host for today. While waiting for some of our attendees to join us, let me give you a brief introduction of this whole Gulf at Cloud webinar series. So we had our first session back in May last year, and it was how the session actually began was because while migrating some of our government systems onto the public cloud, we actually had some, I would say, learning points that we thought would benefit the industry. So we put together a webinar titled Securing Integration in the Public Cloud. If that's something that you are interested in, do check out the online replay on our YouTube channel. Let me send you the link. Here you go. Here's the link to the to our YouTube channel. So for those of you who have just joined us, welcome to the 6th episode of our Gulf at Cloud series. My name is Amanda, and with me today is the Director of Innovation, Celine, and doing the demo is our Integration Specialist, Praveen. We have a lot of content to cover today, so let me quickly run through some admin matters. Firstly, 3 quick points. Firstly, it's a live webinar. However, unlike the previous sessions, we will not be releasing the replay of the webinar online. However, don't worry, you don't have to go and take a paper and pen to write notes or screenshot every other page of every other slide that we are sharing. We will send out a handout to summarize the session after this. So the second point is the Q&A. In the event that you have any questions, you can actually drop them into the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen. As we are expecting quite a number of questions today, we apologize in advance if we are unable to answer your questions live. However, do not worry, we'll definitely follow up with you offline. Lastly, and most importantly, if you would like to engage us in a further discussion, do drop Celine an email at celine@dopant@courier.com. So yeah, without further ado, let me not waste time and hand over the session to Celine. Celine, please.
Thank you, Amanda. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome once again to another installation of the Gulf at Cloud webinar. To kickstart this, I would like to first wish every one of you a happy new year. May the year 2021 bring you and your family success, happiness, and good health, most importantly. I'm thrilled to be here today to share with you some exciting updates of Dopant. I hope you'll be equally excited about what we have done the past few months by the end of this webinar. It has been almost a year since we joined the Dopant family. Some of you may know. Dopant as a business is actually founded in Japan back in 1900. Yeah, quite some years back. It has since grown and become an international organization with sales in excess of 13.8 billion US dollars, and it has offices all over the world. And we are really glad to be part of the Dopant family. One of the major concerns that we have before we joined Dopant was actually our customers. We want to make sure that after we join Dopant, we can continue to fulfill our contractual obligations to our customers. I'm happy to say after a year, we have achieved that. We kept our management team intact. We kept all our staff on board, and at the end of it, we ensure that there is no service interruption to any of our projects. So in the past 1 year, as part of the Dopant family, we started investing in technology in the new areas such as passports, identity cards, biometrics. We have ramped up our R&D efforts in the area of face recognition for different use cases. So we hope to be able to share with you more in the upcoming months. Today's topic is on the migration of SingPass from SAMU to OIDC. And SingPass happens to be one of the important initiatives under NDI, National Digital Identity. Not too long ago, we are happy to actually launch also another initiative under NDI, which is called the Face Verification Service. We want to thank GovTech for trusting us to work with them on this project. With a face verification service now possible to ascertain the genuine presence of an individual in front of a device such as a PC or a handphone. So with this capability, we can now be able to determine whether the person in front of a device is actually not just not just the person himself, okay, not the right person, but also the real person. With these capabilities, I'm pleased to say that DBS has enhanced its mobile app application to be able to support online account opening. Prior to this, any account opening has to be done physically at the bank branch during office hours. This is because the bank want to make sure that not a ghost can open up an account. Now with the face verification service, we can ensure that there is really a real person behind the device. Now, account opening can be done anytime, online, 24/7. Okay, now transit to the topic for today, which is how we can then help our customers migrate from SingPass, existing SingPass is on SAML 2.0 to OIDC, Open ID Connect protocol. But maybe before we proceed further, I'd like to conduct a little poll to find out the audience, from the audience that we have today, what is the kind of a solution or the SingPass and COPA solution that you have implemented in your agency. Is it a single project deployment using a single product, or is it a single project deployment with different types of products, or is it one common service for the whole agency? Or if it's a common service, do you share your SingPass COPA digital service ID? Okay. So while the poll is going on, let me just continue with my presentation here. So OIDC, okay, it's a very popular standard. It's not something new, and as far as OIDC is concerned, it seems like a simple protocol to implement. Based on REST, it's based on JSON, and these are also very popular technologies. So it seems like that's just a simple REST call to SingPass, isn't it? We are migrating from SAML to OIDC. But here I would like to highlight maybe three things for you to consider while you are considering or planning the migration from SAML to OIDC. First off, the handling of security. At the end of the day, OIDC is a protocol used for authentication purposes. So it's no wonder that we use cryptography is involved in OIDC. So there are various parts of OIDC that you need to know, JWT, JWS, JW signature, JW encryption, and the JWK, which is JW key. So it is not so straightforward. You need to be able to handle the encryption, the decryption, and the digital signature as well as part of the handling of the OIDC protocol. So the second consideration is about certificate rotation. Okay, as part of the implementation of OIDC, is necessary to exchange certificates with SingPass COPA system. This is to ensure that both systems, your system and SingPass and COPA, is talking to the trusted system. So that's why the certificate exchange is necessary. So as part of the process, there's a need to do this on a regular basis. So operationally, you need to consider how this can be done on a regular basis. Lastly, the third thing that you may want to consider is about duplication of effort across various applications. I know many of you run in the agencies, run multiple systems. You don't just run one single system. And you have many of these systems on existing SAML protocol. So if you want to move from SAML to OIDC, if you move it individually, that may be a lot of duplication effort. You end up increasing the time and the cost. So there might be things that you want to think about on how to actually reduce this effort and time and cost as well. So at this juncture, I would like to introduce you to our product, which is called the Query Integration Center. Specifically the identity service, OIDC Reliant Party module, to provide you with a complete solution to migrate from SAML to OIDC. The EIC Query Integration Center is actually part of our suite of products that we have. Here there are 6 of them listed. This is all these products are products that we have been working all along all these years. So some of you may be using some of these products in our system at this time. So, but today we'll just focus on a Query Integration Center. In some of our webinars, we have covered some of these products. So you can actually visit our YouTube channel to find out more about them. So what is a Query Integration Center? Okay, it is one module of the Query Integration Center is actually the API gateway. It provides a protected gateway to protect your REST APIs in your organization through AAC, authorization, authentication, and content inspection. Yeah, it has that capability, but that's not really the topic for today. Okay, what we're interested in is in the identity services component of EIC. We currently have a module for SAML, and then it's already being used by quite a number of our customers. And what we recently launched and is now ready is the OIDC Reliant Party component, which is the main component that we will be talking about today. Okay. You'll be pleased to know that we are also working on a new module called the GovAD module. It is used to integrate with the whole of government AD, either through the whole of government ADFS or through Azure AD. So this is something that we are very excited about. And if you have any interest in this at all, if you have any needs or requirements, feel free to reach out to me. We'll get in contact with you on your needs. As part of EIC, we have a centralized management console. It is a web UI that you can use to make do your configuration, make your configuration changes. You can also use that to view your audit trail as well. My colleague later will be doing a demo on the EIC, so you will be able to see the whole EIC and also the management console in action. You'll be pleased to know that EIC is also supported on all the different government hosting platforms, be it GCC, GPC, or GDC. So if you have any of your applications on any of this platform or combination of this platform, our EIC will be able to support you in migrating from SAML to OIDC. Okay, next, I would like to touch on a little bit about the different deployment scenarios when it comes to OIDC. So let's start with the simplest one, which is actually the single project deployment. Okay, this in a single project deployment. These are the various actors involved. So you have the user on the left-hand side here. Okay. Could be using a web browser or a mobile device. Typically for under OIDC speak, it's called a user agent. And then you would like to access, say, an application. Maybe it's a business licensing system or a grant application system. And these systems they're typically called a resource provider. And the resource provider, behind the resource provider will be a set of protected resources, could be a list of applied licenses or the licenses that the user has applied for. And it's protected because it requires the user to be first be authenticated, or the user to have to log in first before the system will allow them access to these resources. So they are referred to as the protected resources. And then, of course, you have the SingPass and COPA, which is a system providing the authentication, and is referred to as the OIDC provider. So how does the flow work? So when a user goes to the resource provider or the system to ask for something, then and when the system detects that it needs to be authenticated, what it will do, it will then redirect it over to SingPass. So that's when the user will enter his ID, password, and if he needs to go through the 2FA, that will be handled by SingPass as well. And then SingPass, after that, is successfully authenticated by SingPass. SingPass will then redirect it back to the resource provider, the app server, with a SingPass token. Okay, that's when then there's a need for the application, okay, to check with SingPass and verify this SingPass token that is passed back. Then it is a valid SingPass token, so that and that's how you will decide whether to allow the user access to the protected resource. And as I mentioned before, so it's actually not such a simple REST call because you need to also handle all the cryptography, the encryption, verifying the digital signature, and then you have to handle all the certificate exchange beforehand. So there's a lot of work involved, and not all application developer can fully understand how to do encryption or to do digital signature verification. Okay, let alone do it correctly. So there's a lot of heavy lifting work that needs to be done. So a better approach is to offload this to another component, which is called reliant party or RP, and let the reliant party handle all the heavy lifting, all the necessary cryptography work that is to be done. And then the application developer can just focus on making a simple REST call without all the necessary cryptography from the app server to the reliant party. And typically this connection between the application and the reliant party is just within the system network. Therefore, this channel will be considered secure. But anyway, generally, we will also protect it with SSL. So in this approach, with the reliant party, it makes the integration to the application much easier. And in this case, this is where we are proposing EIC as a component, as a reliant party. Okay. By the way, if you have any questions at all, feel free to drop them into the Q&A box. We will have a short session later, and I will invite my colleagues to come and join me to answer your questions as well. Okay, so that is the deployment architecture for a single system. So that let's continue to look at a second possible deployment scenario as a common service. So typically, agencies have more than one application, and how should we handle this situation? Okay, so in this setup, so the different actors remains the same. You have the user agent, you have the application, you have SingPass, and of course we have EIC as well as the relying party. And for a common service, typically what we want to do is to install this EIC in a common integration tier, so that all the different applications can access to this common EIC. Okay, so similarly, the integration on the app to the EIC is a simple REST call, and the EIC will do all the heavy lifting of communicating with SingPass, COPA. Okay, once this common integration tier or the common EIC is set up, then it's very easy to onboard subsequent applications. All I need to do is just implement the simple REST call from the app server to the EIC. And from my experience, each application, new application can be onboarded as quickly as 2 weeks. So you can onboard one, you can onboard two, or even more. So this is how we foresee EIC can be used as a common service. Okay, some variant of this common service is in the area of we understand that some of the agencies, they may have more than one application sharing one SingPass, COPA digital service ID. And how the digital service ID works is that each digital service ID as SingPass, COPA will tie to one return URL. So if you have multiple applications sharing the same digital service ID, you need something else to manage this. And we have a solution for this, which is called the EIC Proxy, which will be installing this in a common application environment. For some of the customers, they may just pack it with one major system and then share it with the other systems. Okay. So the flow is like this. The user will connect to the application server to ask for a protected resource. But this time, before redirecting to SingPass, it will be redirected to this EIC proxy. So EIC proxy will note down which is the application that is redirecting it to him. So although it may be 3 or more applications that is redirecting to EIC proxy with the same digital service ID, but the EIC proxy will note down which is the application and call it. So when it redirect back to the application, it knows which application has called it. So this is how the EIC will handle multiple applications with the same digital service ID. So after redirecting to EIC proxy will redirect to SingPass COPA for the user to log in. And the rest of the process is quite similar. The app server will make a similar call to EIC, and EIC will verify that with SingPass COPA. And this can then be extended to multiple systems. So this is how we can handle multiple applications with the same digital service ID. Okay, so that's some of the ways how EIC can be deployed. If you have any specific requirements, feel free again to ask in the Q&A session, or you can reach out to me after this webinar. There are other additional features of EIC that I would like to talk about. One is in the area of automated certificate rotation. I mentioned just now that there's a need to exchange certificates with SingPass COPA on a regular basis, and this can be automated actually. And my colleague Praveen later will show you how you can actually configure this for automated certificate rotation. We also provide a mock server. This is useful for integration or maybe for development testing before you you'll link up with maybe the SingPass COPA test and actual test environment and production environment. So to test your internal application and the code to make sure that it works before you test it against the real SingPass COPA. And then finally, EIC also has an audit trail. Okay, you keep track of all the transactions that has gone through it. It also keep track of all the configuration changes that have been made on EIC as well. Okay. Okay. Seems to be a question. My colleague told me, okay, mentioned that one service ID has one returning URL. Is it the same returning URL for both SingPass and COPA? Or one returning URL SP, one for COPA? Okay, so for SingPass COPA, usually what you will get is one for SingPass and one for COPA. So there will be two separate return URL in that sense. Okay, hope I answered that question. Thanks for the question. Keep them coming. Okay, so this is a screenshot for EIC identity service traffic log. You can see that it keeps track of all the transaction, whether it's successful, or it's 200 or not successful. By default, we do not capture any of the sensitive information like NRIC. But if you want, there is actually a way to turn it on. Anyway, I'll leave it to my colleague who will do a fantastic demo to you later. Okay. We have also a traffic chart and show you all the transactions that have gone through the EIC. For the setup, this is a simple diagram to show you how and where EIC will be set up. Typically, it will be in the integration tier. If it's this is more a AIAS type of compliant setup. And also I want to highlight that as part of IM8, the management console is required to be installed in the management zone. We have specifically designed our product such that it can actually run in the management zone. So our product team is fully committed to the Singapore government standards, and we will constantly enhance our product to meet any new government standards along the way. Okay. Oh, okay, there's another question again. Okay, wait. So, which one is it? Can it be deployed as to GCC as containers? Yes, definitely. We can actually the product, the EIC is designed to be container based, so that we can actually scale it very easily. So by default, you will be able to support that. Okay. As for the business model, so how does it work? Okay, let's say you like our EIC product very much. So how do you procure? So we offer EIC as a product, as a service. So what does that mean? It makes up three components. Firstly, we provide the onboarding services, the necessary installation and testing of EIC in your integration tier, be it as a single deployment or a common service. We also provide the application integration with your testing with your various systems, be it your own internal government officers or your vendors as well. Okay, the software we provide as a subscription. So we provide ongoing patches along the way, including if there is security patches, we provide to you. On top of that, it's not just the patches itself, and then we do not leave it to you to install them and test them. So we will also provide the services to install and test all these software patches as well. And the last part, we will encourage you to take it up, which is actually Go support upgrade. Involves the certificate rotation services. Yes, our software does allow you to exchange this certificate automatically, but should your security policy doesn't allow that, and certificate need to be changed manually, then we can actually provide the certificate rotation services through this Go support. And Go support will also provide support for any of the SingPass COPA changes. Okay, I think last year there was some SingPass migrated to the cloud and end up with change of the endpoint. So yeah, our team actually went down to some of our customers to help in managing and migrating this SingPass COPA migration to the cloud. Okay, so that's our business model. Again, if you have other questions, feel free to reach out to us later or after the webinar. Okay, so before we go on to the exciting demo, so we'd like to find out a little bit more about you or how you intend to deploy the system. So which of the following would be relevant to you? Okay, that's a few options here. We like to get feedback from you so that we know what are the areas we should focus on as a product. Okay, I'll leave the poll on. Yes, Praveen, are we ready to show the good demo? Yes, let's do that.
Thanks, Elaine. Hi, everyone. Yeah, we are quite good with the presentation so far. Thanks for that excellent demo. So let me quickly showcase my screen. Hope you all can see my screen.
Not yet.
Yeah,
coming up. Great. Yep.
Hope you are all seeing the EAC login screen.
Yes.
Okay, let me quickly go through EIC. So my demo covers two scenarios. One is just to a single project trying to connect to the SingPass COPAS with a single digital service ID. The other scenario is a single digital service ID to be shared across multiple projects within an agency or across the agency. So that covers our common integration center. So quickly, I will be showing you EIC and how it looks like, how we can go through the configurations of OIDC. So as you can see, this is my login screen. So once you log into the EIC, you'll be seeing a dashboard here. So, and there are a lot of options here in the left menu. As you can see, Celine mentioned in earlier presentation that EIC is not only meant for OIDC kind of integrations, it also have an API gateway, which is meant to go for AIC kind of authentication, authorization, content inspection. Also, it have an identity service platform, which contains SAML integration with SingPass COPAS, and this is already running quite successfully with some of our agencies. And the new part is the OIDC relying part, which I'm going to cover now. And there are other things like user management section and quite some of the features which is pertain to EIC itself. So EAC is not meant to be login with same credentials for everyone. Actually, it is designed with RBAC in mindset. So meaning, of course, you need a default credentials to log in with, but later you can create your own users. You can create your own users. You can give a complete RBAC controls for each and every user, what he can write, what he can read, what he can write. And on top of that, you also have an audit log for each and every user within the EAC. For example, a particular user from a different agency or a project, he can try to log in access and you can see all his actions right within the EAC screen under the audit log menu. So as you can see, some of the details are here, like user login, logout. If you deleted any details, you can all see these actions right here. Okay, that's like a quick introduction on EAC, but more or less I will be trying to focus on OIDC configuration. So OIDC is designed as part of a multi-tenant concept where this is where actually it covers our common service scenario where you can create one digital service ID for a single project or across multiple projects and able to use and share across all the teams. So for that, to fulfill, we will be first creating a tenant. In the name of EAC, it is called a profile. And quickly, I will go through some of the details what I have already. So let's just say that there is an agency called agency itself. And just a meaningful description here. And there are some details which are required technically for EIC. So that's it. I'm just trying to see testing connection is fine. Yeah, everything looks good. So now we have successfully created the profile, which is agency. And I'm quickly going into the OIDC RP menu. As you can see, I can select the recently created profile agency, and you can go inside the configuration tab, and by default you will see two tabs here. One is general and one is advanced. So the general is one where you will be configuring some of the key important details which are required for the relaying party to connect to the identity provider. Here it is SingPass or COPAS. So for demo purpose, I have some of the meaningful client IDs, which is called digital service ID. Let's say there's an application called Phoenix, and it wants to connect to the SingPass, and the protocol is OIDC. This was just for demo purpose and just to make sure that you guys are understanding this wording very easily. So the digital service is Phoenix, SingPass, OIDC, and I'm choosing the gateway as SingPass here. And of course, this redirection URL is the application redirection URL. And application also needs to require to submit an encryption certificate. And there are more details for this. On top of that, you also have to mention some more details, which are like advanced options we call. One is timeout options. This is typically required when you want to limit the timeout options for a particular transaction which are connecting to SingPass and COPA. Some may take more time, some may take less time. Whatever the resources are taking, whatever the connections are taking more time, it is actually holding up all your CPU resources, which dry out sooner, right? So these timeout options will come into the play to control those kind of resource timeouts. And there is one more called proxy, which is quite important in GCC kind of environment where based on the IM8 architecture, that because EIC is sitting in the integration tag, if you want to talk to SingPass and COPAS kind of internet services, you for sure need the web proxy or forward proxy or reverse proxy. So those proxy details you can come and configure here. So quickly I will be saving the details, and as you can see, we have successfully created a first step, and also it's mentioning us the next action, which is we have to configure OIDC provider details. What exactly this means is, once you are going through the onboarding process, you will be sharing to the SingPass or COPAS the digital service ID which you created here, which is client ID, and also you have to share to them the encryption certificate, a public encryption certificate to SingPass or COPAS, so that they use these details in their own environment at the IDP provider side to encrypt the tokens and all this stuff. So from EIC, you can just download the encryption certificate right here, and you can use this certificate along with digital service ID during the onboarding to SingPass. So after they successfully onboarded, SingPass or COPAS, in turn, they exchange with agencies with client secret and their signing certificate. So those details are what OIDC provided details, which EIC is mentioning to us here. So those details you can configure in this tab, the details. So for demo purpose, I have already created something. And an important thing I want to highlight here is when you're configuring the signing certificates from IDP provider, we have automated signing certificate renewal, or you can manually configure the certificate. This is very important feature in the OIDC right now. When you enable this automated signing certificate renewal, you no longer need to track the certificate expiry from SingPass side, and you don't have to bring all the resources and come in and configure these resources which pertains to man days, timeouts, all this stuff, right? But when you enable these, everything works under the hood. So for demo purpose, I will be using this automated signing certificate renewal option. I'm clicking OK. The second step is successfully done. The third step is you have to generate an access token, which is actually a security token in terms of EIC. Because once you configure here, application team will actually talk to the EIC by using a REST service. That REST service are actually protected on SSLA, TLS, and also backed by access token, which is what these access token you need. So I'm going to the access token menu. Under the agency profile, I'm choosing the recently configured OIDC. And if you have already some tokens available, you can see the list of them. And you see everyone is inactive status, means these tokens are not going to help. I will be generating a new token, and I just put an expiry date of 1. be careful that this token is visible on the screen until you are on the screen. So I'm quickly copying the token and I'm just keep taking out. Once you move out of the screen, this token is not visible once again because of the security reasons. You don't want to show again and again. Also, you cannot retrieve back the token what he generated. The only thing is we have to invalidate the token and regenerate once again. Be careful with that. Once you go to OIDC Relaying Parties menu, that's it. Whole configuration is done. I only did 3 steps here. First, you create the configuration. Based on the configuration, you exchange with SingPass or COPAS. The second step is whatever SingPass provided details, you come and configure in the provided details section. That is the second step. After that, we just generated an access token for our secure access of REST APIs. That ends the whole configuration for a particular digital service ID. So now I will be quickly jumping into the demo part. By using the same digital service ID and connecting to the SingPass gateway, you will see how the flow looks like. I have to make sure that this demo is only covering the mock server scenario. Means we are trying to connect to the SingPass and COPAS mock server, which we developed as part of the product. This mock server is the exact simulation of what SingPass and COPA means. We try to make this mock server which looks like exactly a realistic way of integration. All the values you see, all the data written from mock server is not hard coded or like static data. It's everything dynamic. So quickly I'm going into application. As you can see, application is Phoenix, and let's assume that this is the login screen. And I'm quickly using the login with SingPass button. Of course, there are other options. We don't care that. We'll be quickly going with login with SingPass. As you can see, when I click on login with SingPass, application is redirecting to a mock server, which is our mock server from the product. And as you can see, it's a SingPass mock server screen. And it is asking to enter some NRIC information. Keep note that it is starting with S3187558. Once I click submit, under the hood, there are a lot of work happening. Let me click submit. As you can see, from the Phoenix perspective, it is success, and the user info I logged in with is S318 something, and also there are some more details. So just to pause here, there are a lot of things happening under the hood here, which is what the heavy lifting we call is all done by the EIC product and EIC mock server, EIC proxy. All these components are doing its own job to make the whole work and the flow very simple in terms of agency wide. So all they have to do is just call the simple REST API call for a successful integration. So this is one kind. As you see that I just log in with SingPass, right? I'll be quickly configuring the COPAS, but the flow is very simple, and also it is very, very similar to what we did so far. Because I already shown you guys what the flow looks like, so I won't be repeating the steps, and it will be exactly same scenario of how we did for SingPass. So I will be quickly jumping all these configurations because you already seen these details. So it's same thing. The only thing I want to highlight is, and the second step, where you are configuring the provider details. As I said last time, we are actually used automated cert renewal in case of SingPass. And in case of COPAS, I would like to show you guys the manual way of doing the cert. Let's say that you don't want to go with the automated, and you are very fine with manual way of configuring the cert, and you're okay to bear with all the mandates efforts we'll be seeing in the future, then fine, we don't want to stop you using EIC. You can still go with the manual way. Okay. So this is the second step finished, and I'm quickly generating a token for the COPAS. As you can see, all are inactive, so I'm generating a new token. Of course, I copy the token. So you go back to OIDC. As you can see, we have configured a new digital service ID for COPAS, and its action is completed. So I have all configurations already done in my application. So I'll be quickly showing you guys login with COPAS scenario. Now you see the application redirect back to the mock COPAS screen with some login details you have to enter. Of course, COPAS is a business authentication mode, so you have to enter some more information here. And I enter all the details, and I'm clicking submit. And you can see now Phoenix application received back the authentication information of COPAS. Yes, you can see more details in case of COPAS because it is a business entity. It gives not only the login information, it also gives you all the business related informations. And of course, as part of OIDC, you get more details in terms of access token, refresh token. It's a standard protocol. So in and out, As you can see, this is one of the main integration scenario for Phoenix to integrate with SingPass or COPAS. So let me take a scenario number 2. So far, we have seen a common scenario where a normal application trying to connect with single digital service ID. Let's take a scenario where you have a one digital service ID to be accessible with two different applications. So I quickly go through the configuration of that. So as again, I want to mention, I will start with the new profile, but all those information is very common, like how you see. Let's say that there is a Contasco as an agency, and that agency have two applications which are like Pioneer or Tango for just namesake. And let's say that this Contasco agency wants to use a single digital service ID for SingPass to connect and share between two applications. I'm quickly trying to create a Contasco application for SingPass. So I'm creating a config SingPass, and of course I will be using a redirection URL here. I'm quickly uploading the encryption certs. All these things I'm quickly running through because it's the same like how we've seen earlier flow. So I will use the automatic cert renewal process here, and then I will use client secret, and I'll be using some automatic cert renewal login URLs, and of course I'll generate a token now for Contasco and agency common. So we got a token. I'm copying the token, and yes, we are almost there. And let me quickly go through my demo part. Before that, you can see the Contasco actions are all done. So let's assume that we have two applications running on Contasco. One is called Pioneer project, and another is called Tango project. Just for namesake, assume that there are two different projects, and you can see the differentiation. And let's just say that they both wants to use the same digital service ID called agency common SingPass OIDC. Let me log in with SingPass. Okay, this screen, what you're seeing here on the presentation, right? This is from our proxy component, which is a part of the product. As you can see, our scenario is to use common digital service ID between two different projects. Now Pioneer is actually trying to call proxy with the digital service ID, and it is also saying you have to go to the SingPass for me to authenticate. Now proxy's responsibility here is to redirect back to the SingPass. As you can see, now it's proxy who is redirecting back to SingPass. I will enter some NRIC information, and once you have submitted, it comes back. The SingPass is redirecting back to proxy once again with all the information. Also, you can see here, proxy is also keep tracking of where it has to redirect back after the authentication is finished. And if I click on redirecting to Pioneer, it's proxy who is doing the redirection to the Pioneer. So now proxy acts as a middleman here to bridge the Pioneers and SingPass interaction between these. But for your information, whatever the screens you are seeing from the proxy is just for demo purpose. In the real environment, like in a production or a testing, you won't be seeing all these things because all these things works under the hood. So I'm just sharing that information because of demo purpose so that you can understand. As you can see, Pioneer is fine. And let me go to Tango. And again, Tango also uses SingPass. As you can see, it also uses the same digital service ID. Also, it have other additional information from proxy side. And proxy is redirecting to SingPass here. And I will be logging in with some credentials. This time you see I'm logging it capital Z, and I'm clicking submit, and SingPass successfully redirected back to proxy, and proxy will redirect back to the Tango. If you can see, both applications use same digital service ID, both use different credentials to log in, and it was successful, right? So this is one of the other scenario which we want to cover in the demo part. So in and out, as you can see, we have covered major scenarios which all the applications are looking forward to. And I want to show you guys at the last part of the access logs, which Celine mentioned in the presentation, that you can see all the transaction logs which are going through EAC. Everything you can see, there are filter criteria based on the agency profile, correlation ID, everything. And you can keep track of every information, whether it's success. As you can see, if it is a failure, you will also get more information on the failure, what might be the issue, everything. So which helps you guys to quickly debug the information. And you also can see, take note of the number of records happened within a particular time. This record helps you to match with the actual SingPass or COPAs in terms of transactions made to them. That helps you business guys to calculate the revenue or billing, etc. The final thing I want to cover is the transaction charts, the traffic charts we call here. As you can see, I'm using the agency one, and I want to show you guys, and so far within a month, how exactly the traffic chart looks like. And as you can see, there are a lot of red color here, which mentions that the red is actually the errors happened within the particular time. As you can see, I selected for one whole month of data. And the errors also can have a error breakdown information like 401, what exactly happened, how many number of 401s, 400 and 500 happened. This is just to give you guys a pictorial representation, which helps businesses and PMs to have a very quick glance on what exactly it looks like. So this is my demo. Thanks, Celine, and back to you.
Wow, thanks, Praveen. Thanks for the wonderful demo. Wow, your team has really done a lot of good work on this EIC product. Yeah, I'm really very excited that we have a chance to demonstrate this to our attendees here at the webinar. My colleague has told me that we need to run the poll number 2 again, the second poll. Yeah, I think we sorry about that. We didn't do that quite correctly just now. So I would like to request that you help us in answering this poll one more time. Yeah, I really appreciate that. Yes, I can see the poll coming in. Thank you very much. Okay, so after the demo, let me just give a summary of our webinar today, which is a focus on the EIC, the Query Integration Center, specifically to help you migrate from SAML to OIDC. So it's a product that is tailored for SingPass COPA. You can see from Praveen's demo, all the configuration screen that's specifically for SingPass COPAs. It's not a general purpose product. If you use some OIDC product, you need to configure a lot of things just to get it working. But we know the SingPass COPA's flow. We tailor-made the product just for SingPass COPA so that we can set things up very quickly. Okay. We ensure that we are always compliant with the government architecture and standards. Like I said, for IM8, we make sure that our management console can be installed in the management zone. So in future, there may be additional requirements. Our product team is committed to support them as they come out. Okay, the ease of integration, we do the heavy lifting, EIC, and the integration between the app and EIC is just a simple REST call. So you can be using .NET, you can be using Python, Java, whatever language that you are using, you should be able to integrate with EIC very easily. Okay, it's multi-tenanted, we support common service, whether is you have a single digital service ID for all the applications or multiple service ID, we can handle all this very easily. So once you have one EIC implemented as a common service, you should be able to launch new app or integrate new app very easily in as little as 2 weeks. And we offer it as a product, as a service business model. We make sure that you are successful. Then if you are successful, we are successful. So thank you very much. At this time, I'm going to go on to the last segment of this webinar. This is on questions and answers. Besides Praveen, I would also like to invite Mr. Darren Koo to join us. He's our lead solution architect for our product. So if you have any EIC questions that I cannot answer, he surely can answer them very well. Okay, great. Let's take a look at the questions that we have. Yes, there is a question on SSO. Isn't OIDC supposed to be SSO? Didn't see this in your demo. Yes, actually we do support. Yeah, we didn't demonstrate that in that part. Our product does support.
Yes, yes. The
SSO,
problem
right?
is the demo is constrained to show one of the major scenarios. But if I have to cover that scenario, I'm sure you might have seen that there is no time. There is a time constraint. So of course we will support that. Also, SingPass also mentioned that from OIDC it also supports SSO, so we don't have to worry on that.
Okay. And thanks, Praveen. So next question. Right. Okay, you have my applications are deployed in both GPC, GCC. And can your EIC be deployed as a common service? Interesting question. Darren, would you like to take this question?
Okay, no problem. Yeah, give me a chance to answer.
Yeah, of course. You got to give you an opportunity to showcase your product as well.
Okay, thanks, Eileen. So your application is hosted on the different data center, right? So technically, I would say that it is possible. Technically, it's possible to deploy our EIC, OIDC as a common service, which you can use it from both your GPC and GCC. But that's just technically possible. But however, because this kind of integration is typically a security related operation, so typically it's not advisable to call across a data center over the internet to access the OIDC service to do your security integration. So technically it's possible. In terms of security principle, it is I would say it is a no-no. So of course there are ways we can enhance the product to highly secure that REST call to the EIC OIDC relying party gateway. But once we do that, you see that it's actually defeating the purpose of simplifying the integration from the application. That means we will have to introduce another security layer, potentially another PKI kind of encryption technology, and that will make it defeat the purpose of simplifying. So I would say the best approach is for you to deploy two different sets of instances in your respective data center, so that this integration happens within the data center. In that manner, it is a more secure approach. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Darren. Okay, I believe we have time for one more question. But if after this you still have a question for us, feel free to drop me a note. Okay. There's questions about access logs as captured in the product for auditing. If NRIC or other sensitive information captured, how is it stored and how is it secured? Praveen, you want to take this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, as part of the product, by default, we don't log any NRIC information, but it again depends on the configuration. Some agencies may need to map every transaction or cross-check the NRIC information if there are any issues while debugging or something. If those agencies really need to show NRIC, yes, we can show. During the deployment, we can enable that configuration feature. So there are multiple ways I can say this is possible, but we are open for that. But by default, when we deploy the product, we won't be logging anything. We won't be showcasing NRIC information, nothing, just transparent, pass through. Thanks.
Great. Thanks, Praveen. Well, time flies. I think that's a time that we have for today. Like to thank you very much for spending this 1 hour with us. I hope that you find value in the materials we have shared. I hope you find value in our product EIC. If you need help in migrating from your SAML to OIDC, feel free to approach us. Drop me an email. Okay, that's it for today. So thank you very much. Have a good day ahead. Okay, bye-bye.